Hello, welcome to another episode of Arthritis and You, a Joint Journey. Today, we've got something special lined up, so buckle up because it's time for the deep dive. Let's give a warm welcome to our hosts, Arthur and Sarah.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and give you clear, actionable insights. Today, we're getting into something pretty interesting in the natural health world. It's about avocado and soybean unsaponifiable oils, ASU for short. Bit of a mouthful, right? But stick with us. If you or someone you know deals with osteoarthritis, this might be on your radar. Our info comes from really solid sources today. Alberta Rheumatology. We're looking at a video transcript and some website stuff from them. Expert vetted material. So here's what we want to do for you. Figure out what ASU actually is, how it's supposed to work, what the science really says about it working, and is it safe? And, what does this all boil down to for you if you're looking at options for osteoarthritis? Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start? What is ASU? I mean, we know avocados, right? That dark green fruit pigs eat inside. From Mexico, Central America. And soybeans, a legume from East Asia. Tofu, soy milk, lots of foods come from it. Both known to be pretty nutritious.
Exactly. And most people know those foods. But with ASU, we're not talking about just eating more guacamole or tofu. We're talking about these specific parts called unsaponifiable oils.
Unsaponifiable. Okay, what does that mean in this context?
Right, it sounds technical, but think of it like this. When you process oils, like making soap, some parts react and become soap. That's the saponifiable bit. But a small fraction doesn't react. It resists becoming soap. That's the unsaponifiable part. And this part contains, interesting compounds, sterols, certain alcohols, things like that. For ASU, it's specifically the combination of these unsaponifiable bits from both avocado and soybean oils, extracted and concentrated.
Okay, so it's a very specific blend, not just the oils themselves.
Precisely. It's this targeted extract that's being studied for osteoarthritis.
Got it. That makes sense. So once we know what it is, here's where it gets really interesting. How is it supposed to help with osteoarthritis? What's the thinking behind it?
Yeah, that's the core question. The research points to a few potential ways it might work inside the joint. Based on the studies our sources mention, one idea is that these ASU oils might actually encourage collagen growth.
Collagen? Like the stuff cartilage is made of?
Exactly. Cartilage is like the cushion in your joints, and it's rich in collagen. Osteoarthritis involves that cartilage wearing down. So if ASU can help stimulate more collagen, well, that would be directly addressing the wear and tear, not just the symptoms.
Okay, that's one mechanism. What else?
Well, secondly, there's some suggestion it might help reduce what's called joint space narrowing. In OA, as cartilage degrades, the space between the bones gets smaller, which causes pain and stiffness. So if ASU slows that narrowing down, it suggests maybe a protective effect on the joint structure.
A protective effect. Interesting.
And thirdly, and this is a big one, it might reduce the production of certain substances in the joint that fuel inflammation. Inflammation is a major driver of pain and actually further damage in osteoarthritis.
Right. Inflammation is key.
So by potentially dampening that inflammation, ASU could ease symptoms and maybe even slow things down a bit. It's sort of a multi-pronged approach, it seems.
Wow. Okay. Increased collagen, less joint space narrowing, reduced inflammation. I mean, that sounds fantastic on paper. But, the million-dollar question with supplements is always, does it actually work in the real world? What does the science say?
Right. The evidence is crucial. And looking at the Alberta Rheumatology sources, the picture is a bit mixed, but with some definite points. There does seem to be evidence for some short-term benefits.
Short-term? Like how short?
Typically around 2 to 3 months, studies suggest ASU might modestly improve pain and function in people with knee and hip OA within that time frame. For example, one study looked at people taking 300 to 600 milligrams of ASU per day for 3 months, and it found they significantly cut down on the amount of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medication they needed. The NSAIDs.
Reducing NSAID. That's huge for a lot of folks, isn't it? Trying to avoid taking those long-term.
Absolutely. Reducing reliance on NSAIDs means potentially fewer side effects like stomach issues or kidney problems down the line. In that study, just to give you the numbers, the ASU group went from needing about 150 milligrams of diclofenac, that's a common NSAID, down to just 50 milligrams a day.
Wow, quite a drop.
Yeah, whereas the placebo group, they only went from around 130 down to 80 milligrams, so a noticeable difference in needing those meds.
Okay, that's compelling for NSAID use. Any other short-term data?
Yes, another study compared 300 milligrams of ASU daily against a placebo for 6 months. Again, knee and hip OA patients. The ASU group reported about a 37% improvement in their baseline pain. The placebo group, only 18%.
So roughly double the pain improvement.
Pretty much. And for functionality, how well they could move and do daily tasks, the ASU group improved by 30% versus just 5% for placebo.
Okay, so definitely some positive signals there in the short term for pain and function and reducing NSAID use, but osteoarthritis is a chronic thing, right? What about the long haul? Do these benefits stick around? Does it stop the disease getting worse over years?
That's the critical point, and where the evidence gets, well, less encouraging. According to these sources, those short-term improvements don't seem to hold up over the long term. We're talking 2 or 3 years out.
Okay.
Yeah, longer studies, one lasting 2 years, another 3 years specifically looked at patients with mild hip OA. And they found ASU didn't actually reduce the loss of joint space compared to placebo.
So it didn't seem to protect the joint structure long term in those studies.
Correct. And importantly, they also didn't find sustained improvements in pain or function over those longer periods.
So the initial boost maybe fades, or it doesn't tackle the underlying progression over years?
It seems that way based on the current long-term data available. So the overall take on effectiveness is, while the studies are still a bit limited, especially high-quality long-term ones, ASU may improve symptoms like pain and function, and it might help reduce NSAID use in the short term.
Okay.
The suggestion from the source is that it could be worth a try, maybe for 4 to 8 weeks, see if you notice a difference.
A trial period, basically.
Exactly. But everyone agrees more robust, long-term trials are really needed to say anything definitive about its effectiveness over time.
Right. That makes sense. You need that long-term proof for a chronic condition. Okay, effectiveness covered. Let's switch gears to safety. Equally important. What are the potential downsides? Side effects? Any safety worries with ASU?
Definitely crucial to consider. Based on the Alberta Rheumatology info, ASU is generally considered well tolerated when people take it orally at the recommended doses. And this seems to hold true for use up to about 3 years.
3 years is a decent amount of time. That's somewhat reassuring.
It is. It suggests for many people it doesn't cause major problems in that time frame, but and this is an important but, we don't really know about safety beyond 3 years. The data just isn't there yet.
Okay, so long-term safety is still a question mark.
It is. And while it's generally well tolerated, some side effects have been reported. Nothing too surprising, mainly things like stomach upset, maybe some nausea or vomiting, kind of typical gastrointestinal stuff. Headaches and even migraine have also been mentioned as possibilities.
Okay. And what about allergies or people who shouldn't take it?
Yes, very important. Obviously, if you know you're allergic to avocado or you're allergic to soybean, you should absolutely avoid ASU. It's made directly from them.
Makes sense.
And there's an interesting caution for people with latex sensitivity.
Latex? How does that connect?
Apparently, some people with latex allergies can also have allergic reactions to avocado. It's a known cross-reactivity.
Wow, okay. Good to know.
Yeah, so if you have a latex sensitivity, you should be cautious with ASU too. As always, listen to your body, be aware of any allergies you have.
Absolutely. Okay, so general safety seems okay for up to 3 years, some mild side effects possible, and definitely avoid if allergic to the source ingredients or potentially latex. But this raises another big question.
Yeah.
Interactions. What if you're taking other medications? Especially common for people with OA.
Yes, drug interactions are a huge consideration with any supplement, and ASU is no exception. The sources specifically flag one potential interaction based on case reports involving whole avocado and soy milk.
Not ASU specifically, but the source foods.
Correct. These case reports suggested that eating avocado or drinking soy milk might interfere with warfarin.
Warfarin, the blood thinner.
Exactly. The concern is that avocado and soy milk might decrease warfarin's effectiveness, making the blood less thin.
Which could increase the risk of clotting.
Okay.
The very thing warfarin is meant to prevent.
Precisely. Now, here's the critical point. We don't actually know if the concentrated ASU oils would have the same effect as eating the whole foods.
Ah, the effect of the extract itself is unknown.
Right. It's an unknown. But because the potential consequence of messing with warfarin is serious, caution is advised. The recommendation is that if someone on warfarin starts taking ASU or stops taking it, their INR might need to be monitored more closely.
INR, that's the blood clotting test.
Yes, the international normalized ratio. It measures how quickly your blood clots. Closer monitoring would help ensure the warfarin dose stays safe and effective.
That seems like really crucial advice for anyone on warfarin considering ASU.
Absolutely. And it really highlights the broader advice, which can't be stressed enough. Always, always tell your doctor about everything you're taking. Supplements, herbs, over-the-counter stuff, everything.
Full transparency.
Yes, your doctor needs the complete picture to manage your care safely, and also check with your pharmacist.
Good point. Pharmacists are great resources for this.
They really are. They're experts on interactions and can check specifically about avocado, soybean, ASU, and any other meds you're taking. It's an invaluable conversation to have.
Definitely. That warfarin point alone makes the case for talking to your doctor and pharmacist. Okay, so we've covered what ASU is, how it might work, the evidence for effectiveness, short-term promise, long-term questions, and the safety side, including that important warfarin interaction. Let's try to wrap this up. What are the main takeaways for you, the listener, if you're navigating osteoarthritis options? What's the bottom line here?
Okay, summarizing it, I think the main message is that ASU shows some modest potential, particularly for short-term relief of pain and improvement in function for knee and hip OA. And a potentially significant benefit is that it might help people reduce the reliance on NSAID medications. That's a definite plus for many.
Right, the NSAID reduction is key.
But the long-term benefits just haven't been proven. Studies over 2 or 3 years didn't show it slows joint damage or maintains those initial symptom improvements. Safety-wise, it seems generally well tolerated for up to 3 years, though long-term safety beyond that is unknown. And you absolutely need to be aware of the potential side effects, the allergies, and especially that potential interaction with warfarin.
So caution and realism are needed.
Exactly. It encourages critical thinking, doesn't it? It might offer some people some relief, but it's not a proven long-term fix based on current evidence. Weighing the potential short-term gains against the lack of long-term proof and the safety points, and always, always discussing it with your healthcare provider, that's the smart approach.
That's a really clear summary. And that brings us pretty much to the end of this deep dive. We aim to give you a solid, understandable overview of avocado and soybean unsaponifiable oils ASU for osteoarthritis, grounded in those expert sources from Alberta Rheumatology. Hopefully you feel better equipped with this info now, and as you go out your day, maybe mull this over. Building on what we talked about. Given that something like ASU might offer short-term benefits, but the long-term picture is still unclear, how do you personally balance exploring natural health options against sticking with conventional medical advice for a chronic condition like osteoarthritis? Food for thought. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.
This has been another episode of Arthritis and You, a joint journey, brought to you by the Rheum team from albertarheumatology.com. Your trusted, evidence-based suite of resources available 24/7. Straight from Alberta, but for folks around the world. Our hosts today, Arthritis and Sarah Upis, technical producer, John Ifun, and our executive producer, Stephen Cates. While we work hard to maintain the accuracy of our information, we accept no legal responsibility for any errors or omissions. Remember, always check with your own physician first. Join us next time for another Deep Dive.